Hey guys, it's Ailey, and last week we opened the new M1 MacBook Pro. So this week I'm going to give you guys my 1 week review. Is it worth it? What I think about it, and generally, does it work? This is the 2020 M1 MacBook Pro. So here are some of my thoughts. As a high school student and someone who uploads videos on YouTube, I honestly think this computer is better than you might think. Here's why. When I do my homework, I have a bunch of tabs open and a bunch of things to download from the teacher because I am doing school online this year. 6 hours of Zoom every day, probably 3 hours of homework every day, and a lot of tabs open, like 6 to 7 tabs open per assignment, and that's a lot of tabs open. But I gotta say, this laptop, the battery is amazing. I don't know how it lasts that long, but even after 6 hours of Zoom, 3 hours of homework, and maybe 2 hours of Netflix stream, I only need to charge this laptop once every 2 days. And if I get lucky and not have too much homework, once every 3 days. I honestly do not know how the battery life on this laptop is so good, but when they said you had 20 hours of video playback, they were not lying. And you can get away with a lot with the battery life that the M1 MacBook Pro 2020 version provides. When I upload videos on YouTube, I do it weekly, twice a week. I have to edit my videos on this MacBook Pro, and the editing is so much more efficient, and by this I mean there's not much lagging. If I click cut, split, or delete any clips, it does it right away. I don't have to wait for it. It doesn't glitch. And using the 2019 MacBook Pro, I realized that after a while of editing, maybe 2 or 3 hours, the iMovie will start to slow down and everything else will start to slow down. Google will slow down. I have to force quit the app very often on the 2019 MacBook Pro. But the 2020 MacBook Pro, which is this one, I never ever had to force quit anything on this laptop, and I edited 2 videos, uploaded 2, and downloaded 2. So this brings me to the upload speed of my videos. In the 2019 MacBook Pro, when I uploaded a 10-minute video, I'd say 11-12 minute video, the upload speed would be 1 hour and 45 minutes long. And that is really, really long. But on this one, honestly, a 10 to 12 minute video, it uploads within 30 minutes. And that really just saves so much of my time. And on top of that, this guy, it doesn't become hot. The temperature doesn't spike up, and the fan doesn't turn on, and it's just not as loud and as hot as the 2019 MacBook Pro. What I mean by this is when I'm uploading or downloading things, the fan doesn't automatically turn on, and it doesn't get as loud, and it doesn't get hot, like super hot, compared to the MacBook Pro of 2019. It would get hot. So when I was working with the 2019 MacBook Pro, I couldn't upload a video and do my homework at the same time on the same laptop because it would be the sound and the heat, and this just wasn't a good combination. But with this laptop, the fan doesn't go off and the temperature doesn't spike. And I'm not saying that this computer does not have a fan, but I haven't used it to the extent of it to activate the fan, and the temperature has not risen, so I can upload, download anything, and it's not loud and hot like it used to be. Another thing that I noticed is this computer is much faster. It works faster and it's more efficient. And an example of this would be screenshots. If you take a screenshot on the 2019 MacBook Pro, if you guys don't know this, a screenshot is Command-Shift-3 on a MacBook. If you were to do that on the 2019 MacBook Pro, after you press play for whatever you want screenshotted, the moment you press 3, it would take like maybe a second to screenshot whatever you wanted. But with this MacBook Pro, the second you press that 3, boom, instant screenshot. You don't have to wait. It doesn't lag. It doesn't take the screen right after you pressed 3. It takes the screen when you pressed 3. So when I am studying or when I'm watching a YouTube video, I can screenshot whatever video I'm watching on YouTube without having to pause the video because it's really, really fast. Compared to the 2019 MacBook Pro, I would have to pause the video, then take a screenshot, because when you took a screenshot on the 2019 MacBook Pro, it would take the screenshot, but a second later. So the thing that you wanted to take would be gone. And talking about keys, the keys on the 2020 MacBook Pro are lifted compared to the keys on the 2019 MacBook Pro. But for me, I just prefer the lighter and the more lifted keys on my keyboard. As a high school student, I completely 100% do recommend this computer, this laptop, because it is amazing. And one thing that I absolutely love is the battery life. I cannot believe the battery life on this, because as a student I use my laptops a lot and for long periods of time, but this laptop has never given up. It's always like I don't even have to charge it every day, and the next day I can still zoom for another 6 hours and it is still fine. If you guys have any more questions, make sure to comment down below and I will get to as many as I can. As always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and I'll see you guys in the next video. Janet!